Jasmine swings in white gaiety as your shy breeze fondle around. Deep mirth that you behold, fuse obstinate peripheries of heart, eclipsed by the curtain of carnation, arid contours had roused in debt, meandering from the distant lives, rains of unveiled spits seem grown wild. I know my journey to nothingness is interrupted by the oasis of charms, scuttling my consciousness once again in blue torrents that you gush. But I choose to fall, but I choose to fall hundred skies, but I choose to fall hundred skies, ignoring the sirens of vicious mirage that catapults me from the mystic Odyssey to plunge and sink in your placid lake. Falcons of your size throng the cliff. Falcons of your size throng the cliff. Mighty volcanoes erupt fountains high. Regal platoon bombard my pains. Amid the spring bird's rapture swill. The storm may vanish in ravishing pain, but look at ocean's divine charm. Unseen mystery has misted all, and sacred ashes float in perfect peace. That is Jugal Koul on 9/10/2014, almost 11 years back. I wrote this poem. Good evening and welcome to Sheetanath Conversations, Sunday evening 7 p.m. IST show. This is your host, Jugal Koul, once again greeting you all into this wonderful Odyssey together, this rendezvous together. Once again, we are here, flying, floating or swimming into this great ocean of our civilization, which time immemorially has been known as the crown of Indian civilization. Rather, it is the extension of Indology. It's the Indology itself. And as a bioscope wala, as a person who tells the stories and who brings the stories, rather, engages the great people to tell you the stories, I once again am very much enthusiastic to take you across these contours of time in different time spaces, which holds, some very unknown bays and some known bays, very fascinating and very, esteem garnering, stories and anecdotes and research papers. We talk about, as you know, we talk about the musicology, art, literature, culture, traditions, archaeology, architecture, waterways, landscape, monarchies, transitions, treatises, travelogues, chronicles, maestros, masters, men and matters, mysteries and history. So that's how it is. And today, once again, I am here in my humble capacity as a moderator. I'm back in my cockpit, take this flight, take you to one of the most wonderful, another wonderful story, another wonderful dimension of Sheetanath Conversations. And this is our 116th show, and you have been witnessing it since long, and I'm once again indebted and grateful to everyone. Today, I want to once again tell you that we are going to revisit Kashmir's TRIKASHASTRA. Kashmir's TRIKASHASTRA, which time immemorially has been known as the Kashmir's indigenous wisdom, or whatever. Many scholars have come on this program in this conversation, and they have talked about this. And it has many wider dimensions, and some are beyond our comprehension of a common man like me. And some things are very, at surface level, we understand it. But we are all esteemed, but we know very little about it. Today, we are going to talk about this whole conundrum of Kashmir Shaivism, which probably Subhash Kak last time said that it is part of this Vedic wisdom. It's not something separate from that. So, duality, non-duality, non-dual Shaivism, Shastra, or you can say it, Tantra Loka, or something like that. The great, exponents of this Tantra Loka, from Abhinav Gupta, Utpal Deva, Shambhunatha, and Vasu Gupta. We have heard many stories, and we know many books are around. And at least on the Google WhatsApp, we have this direct or the right definitions of what this actually means. But then again, technology has a very cutting better side as well. That there are great scholars are coming now online, and they are explaining these books, and books are in demand. And knowledge, everybody is curious about this knowledge of the past. So today, to talk about this wonderful subject, especially one of the great Shaivite and one of the great Shivacharya, the master Swami LAKSHMAN Ju, and we will also talk about Vijnana Bhairava and Sampadan Kriya and all those sciences which has flown down from the 9th century onwards. And certainly, from the point of view of very esteemed guest today, she is an Austrian-born, renowned Indologist, as one of the premier expounders of Kashmir Shaivism, Padma Shri Professor Bettina Sharda Boima. Probably I pronounce it well. And she will be here, and she'll talk about her Odyssey with Indology, and at the divine feet of her master, Swami LAKSHMAN Ju. She will talk about Swami LAKSHMAN Ju, and she will also make us, elucidate us, and make us enrich us by the understanding of Kashmir Shaivism. And then also Vijnana Bhairava, Tantra, and Sampadan Kriya, other aspects. We'll see how this entire conversation meanders. So to talk about her, I mean, she has a very vast, credentials and very vast background. But just again, I put up and created some gist from this internet, available sources from the internet. She has been living in India since last 4 decades and has conducted postdoctoral research in Indian philosophy and Sanskrit at Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. She chose to acquire Indian citizenship and has adopted the Indian pen name Sharda. Sharda, as we know, that Sharda Desham, Kashmir was known as the seat of wisdom. Sharda Devi, abode of Sharda Devi, or the land of Sharda, school Sharda, institutions of Sharda. She chose to acquire, after her pursuit of higher studies in philosophy, religion, theology, music at the University of Salzburg, Vienna, Zurich, Rome, and Munich. Bettina has earned her doctoral thesis, Creation as a Play, creation, the whole creation as a play, the concept of Leela in Hinduism, its philosophical and theological significances at the University of Munich. So she is a former professor at University of Vienna. Bettina has been visiting professor at University of Salzburg. I don't know if I pronounce it properly. And the University of Bern, and she has been a fellow at Harvard University and at the Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla. Former director at Samavidyalaya at Abhinav Gupta Research Library, Varanasi, co-chairperson of the 15th World Sanskrit Conference. Bettina has also been honorary coordinator and the editor of Kalatvakosa, a lexicon of fundamental concepts of Indian arts, published by Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts and Research. So let's talk about. So let's welcome her with great reverence and great respects and great warm affection into the studio of Sheetalnath Conversation. And it's a great pleasure and great honor to have her with us. Oh, Bettina ji, just a minute. I'll just add something. Something happens here. I'll just add one more thing. Just a minute. Bettina ji, you're welcome to the Sheetalnath Conversations 116th show. It's a great privilege and a great honor to have a personality, a scholar of your stature, and who's an Indologist and who's basically Austrian-born, but have been here for last 40 years. And you are here to elucidate us, enrich us by your understanding of Indology, your journey of Indology, and Shivacharya LAKSHMAN Ju. You are welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Bettina ji. So we begin with your beginning. You were a school going. You studied your schools at in Austria, in your city, and once you passed out, then you went to the university and you studied all these theology, religious philosophy, musicology, and other aspects, and you did research over there. And this is a wonderful, part of your life, because the environment in which you grew, the city in which you live, and it definitely had an indelible effect on your personality and persona. So I really want to know, to begin with, how was the life there? How did you grow? And later on, how did this quest for Indology came in? Was it natural, or it was, as per the plans and as per the, learning after you went to the university?
Well, in my childhood and school times, there was absolutely no India in our teaching. India
Okay.
did not exist. So one had to discover oneself. And of course, it started because I was born during the Second World War. So my
Oh,
school is a bit persecuted. And so I have some experience, of migration because so many people in this world, they are migrants. So we were also migrants because of the persecution. And so in my childhood and my school education, there was no trace of India, but my parents were they were artists and spiritual, and they had fascination for Tagore and Gandhi, and so it was something, in the family on the basis of art. But they were quite spiritual and searching also for deeper meaning of the art and all. So that was my basis from the family, not from the school. School did nothing. No, that came much later. And slowly, actually, my interest in Indian philosophy, spirituality, it was growing slowly. It was more spiritual search than a scholarly search. There was no basis for that. So only when I came to the university, of course, then I could select religious studies. Finally, Sanskrit, but Sanskrit came as a kind of culmination of my search. So
okay.
that it started very late in my life. I mean, if you compare it with Indian children who are confronted with their tradition and their religion from childhood, but for us there was Christianity, and then for me there was a search. It was a spiritual search.
Oh,
Yes, and then I came across some teachers who connected me with India, and so then I went to Rome to study also Hinduism and started with Sanskrit.
okay.
But it all came from a spiritual search. There was nobody guiding from any scholarly
It
point
was
of view.
natural. I mean, you picked it up from those
Yes,
understandings in this. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
There was a quest for spirituality, to know something, know the unknown. Was there?
Spirituality, of course, in general, and then there was the Christian mystics also.
Okay.
But still, I pursued my search and it brought me to India. And it was not like in many the modern times, people that are doing yoga or they read the autobiography of a yogi and all the time. There was nothing of that. It was more a search for God, a search for the fulfillment. I didn't do any hatha yoga. Nothing to do with
Very
that.
nice.
Yes.
That's very amazing. I mean, probably past life, other life,
Maybe.
you can- karma. And when you came down to India, you just later on adopted for this Indian citizenship, and you added this Sharda. Was this a kind of a uh, reverence and love for this Indology that use this word Sharda as your pen name? It's beautiful, and
Wait, wait. Yeah. It
or
was
was it just a necessity, at the time of getting the citizenship? Yeah.
Yeah, see, people gave me all kinds of Indian names before, but they didn't stick. And when I was applying for Indian citizenship, then I asked, Swami Lakshman, my guru was no more in the body, but his close disciple, Prabha Devi, I asked her,
Prabhadevi.
what, what should, how would you call me? And then she said, give me some time. Then she gave me the name Sharda.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so wonderful.
So that is
That is
not so old. It was from 2011 only.
after 2011. So
2011, I got Indian citizenship. Yes.
you chose for a citizenship because you wanted to you love this country, or you wanted to spend entire life for this research of Indology, and you knew that it needs a very very long period of spell of time. Was that the reason, or it was just that you because you shifted from one country to another country, you could have stayed there and yet researched?
Well, you see, India was for me a became for me a spiritual home. Although that
Okay.
was a different India in the 60s, it has a tremendous change. But still, uh, so I felt, I was studying, working, and practicing my meditation and all in India. And I thought when I'm getting old, and then they will tell me I have to leave, and I cannot, I have to justify why I'm in India. I was working with institutions like Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts and all. Um, so I had some official reason to be here. But I thought in my old age I want to do my sadhana, and I don't want to be told to go back to Europe. That was out of question. So luckily it was not so easy because it has to
I must
justify
have.
one. Yeah, it was not easy. But I was very happy to receive it. Yes, it's a spiritual belonging. And
Yes.
the other spiritual belonging, of course, that is what brought us together, is Kashmir.
And you mostly probably live around Varanasi, the great place, again,
Yes.
spiritual place. That has its own ancient vibrations. I can say vibrations. Vibrations are not ancient or modern, I guess. Now you are here for the 40 years, and you did your doctorate thesis on Indian philosophy at Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. Could you, ma'am, elucidate and brief us a bit about this part of your story?
Well, I did my doctorate at the University of Munich. I came to Banaras in the university. I was very free because as a postdoc, I was very free. And I used that freedom to study with the Pandits. In Banaras, we had great Pandits. And it was through them, like Gopinath Kaviraj and Hemendranath Chakravarti and other Pandits, that I came in contact with Tantra and Kashmir Shaivism. So
Oh,
I was mainly attracted to study with the traditional Pandits and more than at the university. Yes.
yes, yes. I mean, that is where the actual, the gravy, the actual, the essence lies. Because unless or until you go to the roots and search for it, you can't get everything into the university. And you have done an amazing contribution to Indology and one of the foremost expounder of the Kashmir Shaivism, along with so many other Western scholars, Indian scholars. And you came down at I can't say whether I should say it or not, at the feet of your guru, or you went to your guru, Swami LAKSHMAN Ju, the great Shavachari and philosopher. So really, we'd like to start our today's conversation. When did you actually meet him? What are some impressions of your early meeting, and then we'll expand into Lakshmanju personality, spiritual and the physical dimensions, and compassion and other aspects of his personality, and you, scholar and spiritual seeker within you. How did it reconcile with him, and how this journey started? And you can explore. Tell us about something about it.
You see, I could have studied Sanskrit texts even in Europe. There were
Okay.
Indology and all that. But definitely I wanted to have it at the root and connect it not only uh, with the language, but with the spirituality, with the practice. And once my students in Vienna, they asked me, how did you find your guru? And I said in a footnote, because one of Swami Lakshmanju's disciples, Lilian Silbern, she was a French scholar and mystic. And she wrote in one of her books that if
Yes.
there is one like Abhinavagupta, who is both a yogi, a mystic, and a great scholar of Sanskrit, then it is Swami Lakshman Chu of Kashmir. When I read this footnote, I said, I have to meet him. If I can meet him in this life, then I will reach my goal, the goal to which I am aspiring. So it took quite a long time I was already 20 years in Banaras, and I was reading the texts and studying with the Pandits. But then I had a chance to come to Kashmir for the first time with a group of scholars of the Indian Council of Philosophical Research in 1986, 85. So they had a conference at the Srinagar Kashmir University on Kashmir Shaivism. And most of them were Pandits or professors of philosophy. And I took this as a chance to meet Swamiji. Now I will say Swamiji. And that was the turning point in my life, I must say. It was the turning point to not at conference, it was typical intellectual, as we had it in PHU also, but then to meet Swami Lakshman Chu, that was turning point. And I knew that in him and in the tradition which he embodies, I have found what I have been searching. And from then on, of course, I got initiation. I was guided by him, and I was working on the texts and practicing my meditation and everything. So he became the embodiment for what I had been searching.
You're blessed. You're a blessed soul to have him as your guru, and certainly it gave a direction to you, and there must be a divine purpose for that, what direction he gave to you. Certainly. And but tell us something about we at the mundane existential level. We really want to know about your witness of Swami Lakshman Ji. How was he as a personality? Uska dincharya, how was his day schedule, and how he used to, what ease he used to deal with his disciples, and how he used to physically and emotionally and family in a family setup. How he used to treat his disciples, and what was his process of teaching and the transmission. We'll talk about transmission at the end.
Actually, I start from the negative part. I feel that Swami Lakshman Chu, he was a great, not only great scholar and a fully realized saint, but even today, I feel he is not sufficiently recognized, maybe even not in Kashmir. He embodied, he, he had so much of precise knowledge of the texts that people traveled from Paris and from England to study with him the texts because they couldn't find any other guidance. And at the same time, he had this perfect uh, spiritual realization, which he could guide. He could guide his disciples in a very, not in a very systematic way, but in a very subtle way.
Certainly.
And he had a way of teaching the texts, of course, but I came to him rather late. I came to him in 86. I got my
86.
initiation 86, and but his way of teaching was partially with some text and partially just by his personality. He radiated that uh, the deep spirituality which is contained in this tradition. So, in many cases, his teaching was like we have it from Ramana Maharshi through silence. And his silence was so uh, powerful that you don't feel you went there with a question or many questions, And the moment you sit in his presence, all the questions disappear. And you get that clarity and that peace and that fulfillment without any words. So that was he was very spontaneous in the way he guided his disciples. And so some they took more the scholarly part, others took more the bhakti part, or more the meditation. Of course, meditation absolutely necessary in every way and every part of this tradition. It's very
And
difficult. Right?
yes, please continue. Please continue.
Yes. Now, what I would say, instead of no Swamiji, he was teaching a whole text like Abhinava Gupta's Tantra Loka some years before. But when I came to him, I had already read some texts. But then what he gave me was the key to understand and to get into this text. These texts are full of the mystical experience, and you cannot by the text alone you cannot get it. So he gave us the key to open the door to that tradition, to that spirituality.
So in a way, he was a very. It was very deceptive. I mean, nobody understood that in this area at Nishat, uh, lives such a profound spiritual entity.
Yes,
Many of people in Kashmir never knew it. They thought he's just a small guru, a saint, and small worldly needs. They went to him, and probably they thought about him, but in actually what you have witnessed him as a disciple master relationship, and that is something which is very profound, what you said just now. And
yes,
I have also heard about Mark D's, his videos also, and he has communicated because, as you said, the Abhinav Gupta's Tantra Loka or his other scriptures. I mean, otherwise, for a normal scholar, it may not have been possible without this transmitting,
yes.
effect of the guru. And
You
so
have
he
mentioned,
basically, yeah,
yes.
please, ma'am.
You have mentioned Mark Ritchkowski, who he studied Tantra Loka with him, and then he continued with his Tantra Loka, and unfortunately he passed away just a month ago
Yeah,
in Banaras. But he had completed, and that was a kind of what we call in Sanskrit Krita Kritya. He had completed the goal which he had wanted to attain, that is to translate the entire Tantra Loka with commentary and with notes, and to publish it the year before he left the body. So that was a kind of this fulfillment of his task. But
it took him
definitely he
it
was
took
a
him
great.
45 years, 40 to 45 years to complete that
Yes,
commentary on that Tantra Loka.
yes, 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 he went.
That's a huge one lifetime,
Yes,
he did.
yes.
And yes, sir, we'll come to Mark a bit, and because you have an association with them. What I want to say that the core concepts, as you said, that he was a spiritual entity and who was a scholar as well, and he had a purpose he came for, and I heard that he got his enlightenment at 19. I don't know. I heard these stories from different sources, and then because Ramji, his guru Ramji, when he came, he said that Lakshman has come, something like that. So there was already something which was previous life. He already had this. Probably he has come from some source. But then again, when we look at Swamiji, he talks mostly about the Kashmir Shaivism. Then of course, he goes on commentary on the Gita from the Kashmir Shaivism point of view, and he remained hidden for a quite long period of time, till that brother, John Huggis and his wife, they recorded his videos, and and then many more personalities, also Western and Indian personalities. But yet again, it was considered to be a knowledge, a secret knowledge, hidden within the realms of some elite group of Kashmiris and Indian as well. So that was what was the kind of a concept I, as a person, as a common person, had. But when we talk about Kashmir Shaivism, I mean, Shivacharya Lakshman Ju touched the entire periphery of Kashmir Shaivism in its descent from the 19th century onwards, from Abhinav Gupta to Vasu Gupta to, Utpal Deva to, all these sciences, all these profound, findings and knowledges they had obtained. Or it was just he was confined to the Abhinav Gupta or his own understanding and own research.
You mean for Swamiji?
Yeah, Swamiji, Swami Lakshmanji.
He embodied all these texts and all these authors and traditions, and he was teaching a particular text, and at my time some short text, but at earlier times longer text like Tantra Loka, etc. And he wanted to revise. Actually, he relived the tradition. Of course, his gurus, Swami Ramju and Mehtab Kak, they were fully realized. Mehtab Kak. Yes, Kak. They were fully realized and very knowledgeable, but they were teaching only in Kashmiri. And what Swamiji, he brought this tradition and these texts also to India in the way of translating into Hindi, teaching in Hindi and in English. And that is how this tradition has been opened to the broader base of India and to an international audience, international readership. So it is his merit to have made this so-called Kashmir Shaivism into a universal spirituality. And that is what we are now trying to develop in our limited way, but to make it known and to open it to people who had no idea. They know, of course, Shankara, they know Buddha, they know Buddhism, and so on. But Kashmir Shaivism was very little known. And it is the merit of Swamiji to have made it accessible. And he was teaching this. It's not only foreigners, but especially in Benares. He had two great disciples. One was Jaidev Singh, who translated all those texts into English under the guidance of Swamiji. And then one Pandit, Rameshwar Jha. Both of them, they got also an enlightenment from their guru. And I was in contact very much with these two Pandits and scholars. So they have contributed a lot to make this tradition known.
Bettina ji, as a scholar, I wanted to ask this question. This baffles me. In India, where we look at the past, this Tantra, every area has its own Tantra philosophy. Maybe it is similar in many ways, like we have in Nepal, we have in Tamil Nadu, we have in Maharashtra, and many other places. And what does this Kashmir Shaivism, it is just one branch of this entire Tantra philosophy which originates from somewhere else, or it is independent of all these things? It has its own, own profoundness, own darshana in it.
See, there are two aspects. One is that the Tantra, Shaiva Tantras, they are common. The Shaiva Agamas, they are also in South India and in Kashmir Shaivism. The difference is only that the South Indian, they are dualistic. And the Kashmir Shaiva Agamas, they are non-dualistic. They are Advaita Shaiva. But the Tantras, they are common. They are universal. They are revealed by Shiva. So they are not bound by any historical
boundaries, geographical boundaries.
of geographical. Yes. Now, the interesting thing is about when people say Kashmir Shaivism, of course, Kashmir was the land of origin and of all those great masters like Abhinavagupta. But even at the time of Abhinavagupta, there was a connection with Tamil Nadu. Abhinavagupta had one disciple who came from Madurai.
Oh,
But imagine all at that time, and who became his disciple, and he got enlightenment, and who composed a text on his guru. And there was connection with Chidambaram. So at
Chidambaram.
that time, when we had no trains, no aeroplanes, and these ascetics, they traveled such vast distances to come to the guru who is sitting all the way up in Srinagar. So this is a tremendous, when you're talking of civilization, this is civilization, you know. What binds the south and the north and
Yes, yes.
Kashmir and Tamil Nadu.
Synchronizing. Yeah.
Yes.
And I heard that Abhinav Gupta learned it from Sumiti, and Sumiti from the Bhairavacharya, and Bhairavacharya picked it from this Proto Shiva, Pashupati, and all that. Uh, tell us something about this as well, because we all think that Abhinav Gupta compiled and created, because he lived here from many generations, he lived in Kashmir. Although he came from south, his forefathers came from south, but many generations he was there. It was like a silicon, a place where people would get to sublimity to create something, and all the great souls used to be attracted there. But then I heard that he, Sumiti, and this, and then the Bharvacharya and this lineage had something to do with Abhinav Gupta as well.
Maybe I didn't exactly understand the question.
No, I heard that Abhinav Gupta. His teacher was Sumiti from Tamil Nadu, from South India. Sumiti. It is said that he was taught by Sumiti, or he learned from Sumiti, or something else. And Sumiti was the disciple of Bhairavacharya, something like that. There was a lineage there as well, and a connection there as well. I don't know. Whether it is recorded in the annals, or it is known to the this research world. This aspect.
Actually, as I said about Tamil Nadu, see, these connections were very much there. And
Okay.
at the time when there was no facilities to travel, and the manuscripts traveled, and the ascetics traveled. So between Nepal, now we have many of the original texts which Abhinav Gupta quotes. Their manuscripts are preserved in Kathmandu. So it means the same tradition was there in Kathmandu.
As well.
We find it also some traces in Maharashtra, in the Gyandev.
Maharashtra.
Yes. So it is actually, that is my belief, it is spirituality which spreads. It is not bound by modern means of communication. Now we have too much of communication, but that time it was all concentrated on the essential of this tradition.
Oh, that's something very, very extraordinary. Because in those times, people had those. I think I can't say. I should not be judgmental, but in those days, people had the sublime purity and the connect, that geographical, that descended and went beyond the geographical boundaries, something like that.
Borders, yes. Yeah.
And is it true that he divides this Kashmir Shaivism into the four parts, and one is Pratibhijana, the theory of reflection probably, and Kola, Krama, and Sapanda, the vibrations. Kashmir Shaivism as a whole, as per Swami Lakshman Ju, as a whole, what is the predominant aspect of it? Is it reflection, theory of reflection, or it is Sampadan Kriya, or it is other elements and other?
You see, in the beginning of the Tantra Loka, Abhinav Gupta describes 4 ways of realization, of attaining liberation. And these four ways, the first is the anavobhaya, that is the way of the individual, where you perform rituals, you do japa, you do all kinds of physical and mental activities. So every way of spirituality is contained in these four ways.
Hmm.
Many people, they do just, they practice rituals. And then at the second stage, it is the way of Shakti, Shaktopaya. And
Sure.
Shakti means, yes, Shakti. And we know that Shakti plays a very great role in Kashmir Shaivism. And so that is also the way of Kundalini and the way of Jnana. Icha, Jnana, Kriya. Kriya is at the level of the individual. As long as we consider ourselves a body, we need some physical expression of our spirituality. And that is what we find in ritual. And then Shaktopaya, and the third higher is Shambhavapaya, that is the divine way or divine means, where it is Shiva himself who is the guide, who is the act, acting agent in the yogi. And then even beyond that is the Anupaya. There is a way which is, there is no way. The no pathless path, what Krishnamurti also calls. The pathless
Hmm.
path where you don't have
Path is
anything.
path.
You have nothing to do, you just be. But you have to be at that spiritual level and not come down to a lower level. This is Anupaya. So Abhinav Gupta has classified these four ways, and every follower can fit, or depends what the guru is assigning to his disciple, to which path is fitting for any practitioner. And it's in the tantras themselves, in the Madhya Tantra, is three ways mentioned. And the tantras describe these different stages. I have translated the Netra Tantra, it's the Tantra of the third eye. And there are three levels of yoga: Sthula, Sukshma, and Para. Sthula means again physical
Physical
yoga,
body.
well, yes. And Sukshma is yoga, what we normally call yoga. And Para is more pure knowledge, pure intuition. So it's in the tantras themselves, it is already classified like this, where every follower, every practitioner finds his or her uh, path to the divine.
Path to the divine. So, what is this importance of Vijnana Bhairava?
Yes,
Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. That is a
yes,
specialty. I have seen many of your videos. You have been teaching about
yes,
Vijnana Bhairava, talked a lot. So let's expand it to the Vijnana Bhairava first. Then we come back and go like that.
yes, yes. Now, Vijnana Bhairava is one of the basic tantras of the whole tradition, and also Abhinav Gupta and the other authors, they quote it whenever is a question of some mystical experience or some practice. Now, this is a very good sign that among all those, the tantras are sometimes difficult. So the tantras which are not known. But Vijnana Bhairava, it is not very long. Sorry.
Yeah, please
And
go on.
okay. And it has become known much wider outside the tradition of Kashmir Shaivism by different teachers and different gurus. So it has the advantage that the Vijnana Bhairava is a basically practical text for spiritual practice. It teaches 112 ways of reaching pure consciousness. And so it has, I have translated it in English and German, and I have been teaching it in different contexts. And the students, they find it extremely helpful for the spiritual practice, because you can find something which is corresponding to your need or to your capacity or to your search, and it's a very wide spectrum of practice. But the aim is, of course, divinization. That is sometimes forgotten. At the end, it always says you practice this and this and this. In the end, you become Shiva.
Oh,
So, but
Parashikta,
you become
Param Shiva.
Shiva. Yes. So it is not to be reduced to a practice of like Hatha Yoga or something. It is not at all. It is a
Oh,
very high
yeah. Please explain it further. Yeah, we want to know this difference. No? It's not Hatha Yoga. Why? What is the difference?
difference between.
I mean, it's not the process like Hatha Yoga. It's a
Yes.
process
No.
away from. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Hatha Yoga is not recommended in this tradition. And if at all somebody practices, it would be at the level of Anarupaya, means at the individual level. When you identify yourself with the body, then you have to do some asanas and pranayama and other practices. But it is not recommended here at all, because the tantras they have, and especially the Ghana Bhairava, they have such a great uh, variety of experiences and practices which are beyond what we call Hatha Yoga. And so it is a very universal text which can be practiced, and at the same time, you see, this is the problem always. You have something is rooted in a tradition. Vijnana Bhairava, it comes, and everybody who translated it has said without the explanation of Swamiji, they wouldn't have understood.
Oh,
At the same time, it is rooted in the tradition of Kashmir, Shaivism, and it is universal. So this combining, this was my attempt also when I was teaching. Now I've stopped teaching, but it is still there somewhere. To combine the particular with the universal. See, you have a Kashmir Shaiva tradition. We don't deny it is coming from Kashmir, it is coming from these great texts and so on. At the same time, it has to be universally valid, universally applicable. And it can,
applicable.
yes, it has to respond to the search of people, spiritual search,
Seekers across the globe.
seekers, yes. And that is something which I observe again and again. The people are seeking a way to realize the divine in a different circumstances, in different conditions of life. It is not a spirituality where you have to take sannyasa or you have to
Yes.
abandon the world and so on. But in any situation, in any condition of life, you can realize the same spiritual experience. So that is where Vijnana Bhairava plays a very important role.
And Abhinav Gupta, Abhinav Gupta wrote about it. The original, who it came from anonymity. From where it? What is the? I mean,
Yes.
visible
See,
historical memory about. Yeah.
mantras are revealed by Shiva. That we have to believe, because it's a dialogue between Devi and Shiva. See, Devi or Shakti or Bhairavi, she asks
Bhairavi
questions, and Shiva answers.
conversation.
Conversation. Here we have a conversation.
Yes.
So it is in that dialogue that the text is revealed. And in Vijnana Bhairava also, the Devi asks a whole number of questions, and then Bhairava answers, and then the whole tantra is in answer to her questions. And then at the end of the all his the methods which he describes, at the end, then the Devi says, it's very beautiful. The Devi says, "Now I am fully satisfied." See, the practice which she has received, and she says, "Now tripti, that is very much tantric. Tripti, we have tripti when we have good food. But she says, now I am fully satisfied. And then she embraces, she becomes one with Bhairava. It's such a beautiful ending. So one should not forget this beginning and ending of the text. It's not just a method to practice something, but you have
And
to start from this question of the Devi and end with that tripti, that satisfaction and that union with the divine.
how pragmatic are these 112, 112 or numbers you just suggested about realization, ways of realization as per Vijnana Bhairava Tantra? I mean, how practical? I mean, have they been experienced by the disciples and I mean different sections of people across the planet and at different places? What is actual outcome of this journey of mergence into the supreme consciousness through Vijnana?
Yes, but this is it is still developing. I mean, they're trying to make a teaching like teaching of Bhagavad Gita at the university level. So
Yes.
I was trying to involve me in a program to teach Vijnana Bhairava at the university level, but I said it's not possible because it needs a guru. It's not a classroom teaching. You cannot
Oh.
teach it in a classroom. And but it's just an attempt to make it accessible, to make it universal. Then it depends how it touches the particular student, uh, what it what is the result of this practice or this understanding. This is all very different, but it is a very important uh, text which deserves, but a real uh, understanding and real teaching.
And this Bhairava and Bhairavi are also, referred to as the, dimensions of consciousness as per this, Christopher Wallis, she writes about it. They are basically Bhairavi and Bhairav. They are basically, I mean, in Indology, you must be knowing that we have a story. One way is the storytelling, another way is the philosophical, and third is the practical way. The story is always formulated there. It's in every part of our folklore and everywhere surrounded. But what exactly does mean Bhairav and Bhairavi? I mean, they are not embodiment of a consciousness. They're the different levels of consciousness. One level of consciousness trying to merge. Is it so? Kindly illustrate. Yeah.
Yes, of course. You see, if you define Shiva, another text which was very favorite to Swami Lakshman too, and which is a text of Bhakti, Shiva Stotravali. And
Okay.
there, at Utpaladeva, and he says this Shiva he is the embodiment of consciousness. So consciousness, but not in a psychological sense, of course, in a transcendental sense.
Transcendent.
Yes, Shiva is the highest consciousness, and if there is a dialogue, as we are practicing dialogue at different levels, there is a seeker and there is a uh, re- responder, and then there is a union of both by overcoming that duality also, the over the duality of the seeker and the sought.
Yes, yes. Good. That's so wonderful. I mean, Mark Dikoski, I'm not able to pronounce it properly.
Ditchkovsky, yes.
Ditchkowski.
Yes.
Ditchkowski. Mark Ditchkowski has classified practice of VBT into various main types along with the verses. And he is talking about Kundalani practices. Let's talk one by one. I mean, a bit of, because you are also an ocean. I think you have a lot much enormous work of you available on the internet, especially in the forms of teaching this Vijnana Bhava. So let's slightly expand a bit this whole conversation a bit. And when we talk about this Kundalani, these practices, they are part of this VBT.
Which one?
Kundalani Jagat, Kundalani.
Kundalini. No,
Kundalini is the right
Kundalini.
Kundalini. Kundalini
Right.
is the right.
Yes, yes. Many of Kundalini is the Shakti. It's not. It's not. Sometimes it is reduced to a, some psychological uh, sensation and so on. But Kundalini is the supreme Shakti. She is called Para, and Para is a whole tradition, the highest of the, yeah, in the Paratrishika is one tantra. It is completely on this para. And para, when she is experienced, then it is Kundalini. That is also in Vijnana Bhairava. She is also there in experience. So the whole, if you compare, but don't want to compare. If you compare Kashmir Shaivism with Vedanta, for example, in Kashmir Shaivism, the Shakti is so important. And unless you pass, that is in the beginning of Vijnana Bhairava, you have to pass through the divine energy to the Supreme. See, you need Shakti in every respect. And through Shakti to reach Shiva and Bhairava.
And I have seen some witnesses. I mean, I have also seeker in one way. I have also practicing a bit. I mean, in a different system. But I have seen some people. I met two guys in US, and they felt that Kundalini. Basically, he said that we got so spurt of energy that ultimately it went into the lower domains, and I was devastated. He said that finally he went to our master and he just corrected him, or rather, cured him of that, that dismay, that what happened because of that Kundalini energy. He could not, I mean, rather sustain with that energy. It went into the wrong directions. Yes, is it so? Does it happen?
But
So you need a master.
that's why you need a guru. See, these are very high level practices. But the higher you go, see, the beginning is not very difficult. In the beginning, you can also do on your own. But as you go higher, you need a guru even more. Because there are difficulties, or as you say, possibilities to fall down or to have a wrong kind of experience. That is why guru is so essential. But the guru of the quality of Swami Lakshman
At
I
caliber.
don't, I don't see now. I don't see now.
Yes, our master also used to tell, and higher you go when you climb a mountain, more higher you go to the mountain, the path becomes narrow, and
Yes,
there's every inevitable chance that you fall. So one has to
yes,
be very careful. You need a guide, a mountaineer ahead. That is the guru.
exactly, exactly. Yes,
And this, when we talk about the consciousness and mergence with the consciousness, this plexus, the chakra system in our chakras in the body. No?
yes,
First, Kundala, and there's like Muladhara chakra, then Vishuddhi chakra, and Anahat chakra, and Ajni chakra, and Agya
yes.
chakra, SDK, Sasardhar Kamal, and this Brahma Rudra, and other points. Do they have some role to play into Kashmir Shaivism, especially the Vijnana Bhairava? Does it somewhere connect with Vijnana Bhairava, these energy chakras?
Everything you can find in the Kana Bhairava, but not the word in that sense. But the practice and the experience, everything is there. This is the
Okay.
wonderful thing about this text. Everything, chakras are there, Kundalini is there, prana is there, mantra is there, bhakti is also there. Uh,
Bhakti,
yes, yes.
devotion.
Yes. So that is the greatness of this text. That's why one has to understand it. That everything can be found in that, but it is so brief. So it needs interpretation, like Swamiji has given, and to put it in the right point of experience. Yeah.
And in between, just an introduction, transmission, as you also explained, and Mark Dichovsky also explained, that when Swamiji, came and while we were reading or while we were doing some scholarly work, he transmitted. This process of transmission already existed, predated, many millennia ago in India. And this transmission, when you are able to receive this transmission, it is by the grace of the master, or by your own preparedness, or it has something else to do. How does this transmission, how does one get this transmission?
Well, you see, the Tantras and also the Agamas, they say that without Diksha, there is no liberation. So Diksha is the initiation, it is the transmission. And then there are different kinds of Diksha and different, and it depends on the qualification of the disciple, which Diksha he can receive. And then one has to develop, one has to practice with that. It's like you get an entrance into that whole system, but you have to develop it yourself. You have to work on it. Like any discipline, you get a pravesh, you get an entrance, and then you have to develop it, and you have to fulfill that. Transmission is absolutely necessary, of course.
Yeah, it is said that one of the great masters, who gives this transmission, it is an abundance in our system. Sri Ramachandra Mission. We have this by the grace of master, transmission happens every. Even the prefects, the trainers, have been given that, bestowed that power, they can transmit. But this transmission is in abundance, and it is being said that transmission happened in earlier times, like they say in Lord Krishna. Actually, when he transmitted to Arjuna, through gaze,
Yes.
he transmitted Arjuna through gaze. It was not the shlokas; he was not continuing with shlokas. He dismantled his external coverings and he transmitted him the essence.
Yes.
So transmission prevailed here in different ways, in different methodologies they were used in the past.
Yes.
And many of it went to some other, it went to oblivion for a long period of time. And then there are stories about my mission and my system.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
the story.
But you see, even the Tantras also say that this Diksha, it can happen as a ritual, or it can happen just by a look or by a touch. Or we know this also about Ramana Maharshi. He would not give any ritual initiation, but if he looked at somebody and it happened, it just happened. The transmission was there. So and the text themselves say it. But this seeker has to be able to receive it, of course.
His container has to be empty. His container has to be empty first.
Yes, he has to be able, that's why we call it patra. He has to be a capable vessel to receive that grace. Call it grace also, Shakti Patra. Shakti Patra.
Don't you think it's a privilege? Because, about this Bhairav Tantra, because as per, I have also been guided by many ways of the spiritual practices, but I've seen that normally it is said that the body, mind, soul, the subtle bodies, they possess this whole impressions of this janma. They remain there, and from janma to janam, these impressions from one carnation to another carnation, they unfold, and this process, endless madness, goes on and on and on. It never stops, unless or until somebody comes and he ultimately empties these complete subtle bodies, cleans these subtle bodies. In the absence of cleaning process, transmission is one aspect and cleaning is another aspect, because impressions are there. With the present day impression or this janma impression may be taken care of by people, but there are previous, the impressions like stones, they are there within us and in our subtle bodies. So how does Vijnana Bhairava, it is a great privilege and a great, kind of a great science and profound science where this cleaning is not required. and you can directly through the transmission be liberated and rise through the consciousness, process of consciousness.
See, in this tradition, we believe in sudden enlightenment. That means that you don't have to go through so many processes and so many purification and this asceticism, this and that. Sudden enlightenment is possible, where everything is solved in one go. And the Jnana Bhairava is an example. It can be sudden. You don't need to go through all this. And that is why we give importance, we means the whole system gives importance to grace. Now, grace, you know that Shiva has 5 actions, acts. Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara, Tirodhana, Anugraha. Now, Shiva's the purpose of all his actions, from the creation to all the things we are going through, the whole purpose is grace. So it leads ultimately to Anugraha. And in grace, all these obstacles will be automatically removed. That is why.
That's so wonderful. That's so
Yes.
wonderful.
No,
So-
it is wonderful. It is an offering, you know.
Unparalleled. It's unparalleled, I mean, such kind of an available, methodologies which can, do wonders to you. Yeah.
No, it is really, that is why I say this tradition, Kashmir Shaivism, is an answer to so many questions which we have, even on the basis of other schools of thought and other spiritual paths. It is such a rich and which offers you access to the divine, access to the ultimate consciousness in so many ways. And that is why it goes beyond Kashmir, of course. It has started from Kashmir, but it is universal. It has a universal meaning and appeal to the problems we are facing now. Also the problems, social,
Nowadays, restlessness in the universe, and everything is changing. Value system is lost, and families, institution is breaking up, and the religion institutions are breaking up. They are going in a very different, dimensions. They growl around, and the whole situation becomes, mad race of circus has become it. And young children, they have lost. They have become, they're so stressful and prone to the diseases.
Yes.
Yeah.
This question, I think this is an important question when people say the tradition has been lost. Now, it is our task, to continue it. It is maybe not in the same way, not in the same what we have experienced with Swami Lakshman too. But I believe that this tradition is universal.
Yeah, that's okay. Everything, a planet is a very small. It's a peck of Earth. If you look at from the cosmic, level, there's one video which I run normally while I do my, these corporate sessions. I mean,
Yes.
when you go above and rise and rise and rise and rise, the planet becomes a small dot and finally disappears. Then Milky Way disappears. Then Andromeda disappears. Then remains the space. So multi-universes also, they become a peck of dust. So universal, why everything is universal? I mean, everything is centered toward the universals. Knowledge is for the universe. There is Swamiji has explained 7 stages of Turiya. Normally, what in traditional school, what we think about Bettina ji, about Turiya is we have the Jagrata Avastha, then we have the Sapna Avastha, daily we have, and then we have Sushapti, and then Turiya. And Turiya, and then another stage above Turiya, that is some extra. So, but here Swamiji explained, I was reading the other day, the Swamiji says that Turiya has 7 stages, and that is entirely a different perception of Turiya. And he tells that Turiya is a boundary between Sapna and Jagrata and something like that.
Yes.
Would you please elucidate us about it? Yeah.
Yeah, this is from the Tantra Loka.
Hmm.
The Tantra Loka Abhinavagupta has subdivided. See, this is a common spiritual philosophy. This from the Upanishads, Jagat Swapna, Sushupti, Turiya. Uh,
Mundok, Loka
in
Upanishads, yeah.
Vedanta also, because we go through these stages. But the point, the last, beyond Turiya, in our tradition is Turiya Tita. Turiya means beyond the fourth, and the meaning is that at that stage, it's only the Jivan Mukta. He penetrates, his state penetrates even in his waking state. So he doesn't need to sit in samadhi, but in every state, every activity, he is in the same state of consciousness. That is Turiyatita. But
Oh.
it has to be uh, attained completely, and then there is no difference between he will be in that state whether he's sleeping, he's dreaming, or he's acting outside. And that is the state to be attained.
Dichotomy of our times is, do we still have the gurus like Lakshman Ji, who have this profound and in-depth and bestowed capacity of changing the destiny, spiritual destiny of the seeker? Although we have so many profound sciences, I mean, in front of us, books have been written. I mean, everywhere we are flooded by the knowledge and the books about the past. But the what ultimately matters is the driver, the master, the master.
Yes,
So,
yes,
do we really have such masters nowadays? I mean, who can just uh, do these tricks of realization through of consciousness through Vijnana Bhairava and other methodologies?
yes, yes, yes. We have to pray for somebody like Swamiji to come again. Yes. But the text, Tantras themselves, they say if you want to reach liberation mukti, there are three ways. That is Gurutaha, Shastrataha, Svataha. From the Guru is ideal if you are lucky to have a Guru.
Have a guru.
If you don't have a Guru, I mean a realized Guru, then there are the Shastras. So the text like Vijnana Bhairava can give you also, if just by reading, by understanding. And the third is by one's own experience, swataha. So if all the three come together, you have a guru, you have studied the Shastra, and you have some experience, and if they come together, that is perfect. Then
That
it
blend
is,
is the best one.
yes, yes,
That's the best blend to. I mean, that is really practical and pragmatic to just transcend the different boundaries and reach to the different dimensions of consciousness.
yes.
And
Ye-
Swamiji has also said that he says this basically Sampadan is going on everywhere. These vibrations are going everywhere in this universe, and when there's an influx of vibration goes abundant, then the universe is. I just read it yesterday. I was watching his video,
Yes.
and then the universe is created. Tell us something about this theater of universe, which Swamiji wants to convey to us.
Yes, but it's not Swamiji has not invented it. It is a Spanda, the whole Spanda theory, which is a whole school.
School,
The
Sampadan.
whole, yes, uh, the Shiva Sutra, Spanda Karika, and then all the commentaries on Spanda Karika. The interesting thing is that there are two uh, ways of Spanda. One is the universal Spanda, and that is what even the scientists today they will admit that this table is not just a hard wood, but every matter is full of vibration of consciousness. So everything is full of that vibration, and only the realized person can perceive it. But normally, we look at things in a material way, but when you are in a higher state of consciousness, then you feel that there is a vibration, and it's all in the oneness of the a vibration of consciousness. And then there's the specific spanda, Vishesha spanda and Samanya spanda. And that can explain, you can have a dialogue with quantum physics, where the things are coming very close. Something has a particular form, and that is a particular vibration. Again, it's not matter. Not matter is something solid, but something vibrant, and vibrant with that consciousness. So it is a philosophy which can very much come in agreement with modern science, especially quantum physics.
Especially,
Quantum physics.
which are quantum physics. Yes, yes. Quantum physics I discussed the other day with Subhash Kakor. Quantum physics is something which is, which correlates with this whole darshana, and there are many other aspects about that. But this you very rightly said that this vibratory sense is beyond matter. When it is beyond matter, so certainly it is from some source, some higher or bigger or infinite source. And when it grows into the matter, it becomes grosser. When it, unburdens it from the matter, the material, weight of the matter, it goes back into that state. And I think that's what I feel. And you were also talking about this Utpal Devas, that Pratibhijigya,
Yes, yes.
should we come to that, and please explain us in a very simpler way so that I'm able to
This is
understand? Yeah.
this is a wonderful text. I mean, not Utpalativa, Kshemaraja.
Yeah, Maharaj.
Kshemaraja. You mean Pratibhijna Hridaya? Or which text you mean? Kshemaraja's Pratibhijna Hridayam is a kind of introduction to the whole system in a very condensed form. And I've been teaching it also. Or you were talking about Shiva Sutravali, about which one?
What do you say?
Shiva Sutravali or Pratibhijna Hridayam?
Pratibhijna, yeah.
Yes, Pratibhijna Hridayam is by Kshemaraja, who is the disciple of Abhinavagupta. It is, I recommend, if anybody wants to have an entrance to the system, that is the best text to study, and even one can study on its own. There are some teachings also. It is wonderful. There he has, just give one example. How do we deal with different systems of philosophy and different religions? And he says, what it is Shiva. Shiva, he is assuming different roles. Shiva, like the actor, he assumes different roles. Once he is a Chavaka, once he is a Buddhist, once he is a Vedanti, once he is. They're all different roles taken by Shiva. It's such a beautiful idea, You don't think, oh, this is a different, this is the separation we make between traditions and between religions. They are all roles played by Shiva.
It is like Professor Subhash Kak said other day, maybe he has taken it from Kashmir Shaivism only, when the sun rays fall on different, pots of
Yes,
different.
yes, yes.
They haven't, because it is not the same sun rays. I mean, they change as per the pots, that
Yes.
structure. Yeah.
Yeah, that is another simile. Yes, these are two different similes. Yes.
So you were saying about this, Kshemarajas, about this whole
Pratibhijna Hridayam, yes,
Pratigyan Vijayam and theory of
Yes.
reflection. And, yeah.
yes.
So there is a difference between Shiva Sutra and this. And Shiva Sutra, what is the, if we talk about Shiva Sutra now,
See, Shiva Sutra was the first text composed or received in the Advaita, in the non-dualistic Shaivism. And you must know that story, that Vasugupta, he had a dream, and Shiva appeared in a dream, and he told him to go to a particular rock. And in the morning he went, he was on Mahadeva mountain, and he went to that rock, and then he found that the sutras were engraved on that rock. So he memorized the sutras and then they disappeared. That rock turned upside. So it is in between a revelation by Shiva and Vasugupta. So
Shiva and Vasu.
these are the first non-dualist Shiva texts, and so they are very basic. And sutras are so brief, they need a commentary. You cannot by themselves. They are too brief. So then we have different commentaries, and
Okay.
they are very fundamental to the whole. Yes.
You talked about Netra Tantra. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you just talked about. Could you slightly expand a bit about the Netra Tantra? Because it is Shiva. I think this is about this, about
Yes.
chakra. Yeah, this is about
Yes.
Shakti. I mean, this is the center of Shakti, the concentration of Shakti, as per the Plaxal theory, as per the chakra theory.
Yes. Yes.
Tell us something about this, Netra Tantra. How do you
Yes.
understand
Yes.
it?
We worked on it. I have lived with it for many decades. And see, we have seen Shiva's iconography with the third eye, and we speak about the third eye, but this is the Tantra on the third eye. And it was not translated. I have made the first translation in English. There was a Hindi translation is there, and it's such a beautiful tantra, which I recommend to. It's not so difficult, like Swachanda Tantra or others, which are. It's very beautiful. It can lead you really from that meditation on the eye, and then it's a dialogue between Devi and Shiva, and she is asking about this eye, and then he develops and he teaches uh, how to realize it. So it's a very beautiful text that I could
Okay.
only yes.
So that's how it. You have been. You also taught as a traveling professor, visiting professor to many universities, and you have been on the fellowship of Oxford University and other universities. Tell us something about when you were enlightened and met your guru, and afterwards or before that you went to the West. I want to have a complete understanding how you. I mean, what was the change in you, and how did the Western world respond to this? And what are the Occidental parallels of this whole wisdom which you were talking about, like Kashmir Shaivism or Vedanta?
No, I found that there is a search. I was teaching in Indology. Indology means you're just teaching a text. But then I moved to religious studies. In religious studies, you can be much more, uh, have a wider uh, perspective and wider possibilities. So I did in religious studies. And I found that there is a search in this Western European. I have been teaching in Austria, Germany, Switzerland, and all. And first, I was teaching Upanishads uh, before I came to Kashmir Shaivism. And I found that the people who are searching for something, integrating um, with life, integrating with their own experience and with the divine, and not to separate it from life. That you have to become a monk or something. And so I found they were very responsive to these texts and to this philosophy, and so I took particular uh, points of subjects in teaching, and the response was very very
Profound.
positive. Yes. Yes.
I was very disappointed. I went to US and I found that people are not going to church. But religion as an institution, people are just, they're full of these problems nowadays. But nobody is going to church. I saw the church closed by the day, and very few number on the congregation times. The seeking, or there was one great saying by Subhash Kaka the other day. He said that even the Gnostic who doesn't believe in God, he's honest because he's disappointed with something
Yes.
which he's exploring.
Yes.
He didn't. So that is a dichotomy of our present day, present times, especially not only Western, even India as well. Even Orient, we say that we are a very, very sacred land. Yes, we are, but certainly the whole family system is now evaporating, and this religion, which we call it cultural religion or based on the spiritual fundamentals, it's also going away. And that is a dichotomy of our times, and people have lost faith, and losing faith is something which I feel, as a, with my understanding, one little understanding, is not something very healthy for this evolution of humanity.
See, what I feel when looking at it at a higher perspective, what we need is Advaita. See, we live in a world of splitting, of division, of separation, and that is why we all the difference between Veda and Abheda. See, if you live in Veda, then this is these are Christians say that something, something, and we live in this divisiveness. And ultimately, this divisiveness leads to war. We see it before our eyes. But the Advaita, not just as a philosophy, but Advaita as a practice.
Practice.
Yes, that's why there is a concept Advaita Chara, the practice of Advaita. It's not to separate
Yes,
Abheda.
that is very profound part of I like in Kashmir Shaivism, that
Yes,
they say that this universe is not an imagination, it's not a dream, it's the extension of
yes,
God. Yeah.
yes.
But
No,
why
this is
why does for a very lighter vein, why does God humble humble itself to do these small entities, and where this entangled and is forgets about yourself, and there are thousands and millions and billions ways of Shiva, and then they have to get liberated altogether. This like a boy, small children getting a bus from A point to B point, coming back to A point, then again going to B point. What is this whole this gamut, theatrical gamut? Why does God do it? We don't have an
the
answer.
question why cannot be answered. But in, from our point of view, means this non-dualism, it is Shiva himself who descends into our limitations. And that is the main non-dualism. Because if you say, "Oh, I am a poor soul," or "I am a sinner," or I have so much bad karma," and how am I? No, if you know that it is only Shiva who is embodied in you,
Ah,
and that is Shiva himself has descended, and that is the only realization you have to do. That everything
it,
else will disappear. And this is the real Advaita. This is the real Advaita. Vasugupta, who, no, Somananda, Somananda, who was after
Woman.
Vasugupta. Yes. Somananda says he is very strong in his Shiva Drishti. He says Shiva has descended down even up to hell. He has even gone down to hell to transform, to bring people to their own uh, being, to what they really are. So it is nothing is separate from Shiva. Das ist Shiva Advaita. Yes.
In Kashmir Shaivism, we have 36 elements, like other than the Sankhya Parampara and other paramparas.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
why this expansion in the elements and why the different elements? I don't know the reasons. But yes, as it is, if we discuss, why is it that we have 36 elements other than the 25 elements, which is from the traditional Vedantic
Yes.
school?
Yes. Yes.
And how practical is it to, move around this oscillation of these contours? to transcend towards this sense of reality.
Yes. You see, the 36 tattvas, at least from the agamas, from the tantras. So it is something, it has come down from the revelation. And it is a view of the whole reality. Whole of reality, it's always called from earth to Shiva. So everything from earth to Shiva, these are 36 elements. And there are only two divisions. One is the impure not in a moral sense, but impure in the sense of Maya. They're still under delusion, in the realm of delusion. Below Maya, they are impure. And above Maya, then from Shuddha Vidya and then all the divine levels. And what happens, we are connected with all these elements. You have the cosmic elements, you have the sense organs, you have everything is in us. So it's not something outside. And therefore, even in the particular initiations, Diksha, we have to go through all these 36 elements in the consciousness, but the Guru does it. You go through and you go beyond Maya and to the up to Shiva, Shakti and Shiva. So it is a ascent, and always from Shiva it's a descent. Shiva becomes earth, and earth becomes Shiva.
Oh.
This is that process, descending and ascending.
Descending in it.
Yeah.
And we have this Nataraja also, the symbol of Nataraja, it is creating and destroying.
Yes, everything is in Nataraja. Everything, yes. Yes.
It's going on and on, etc. That's so wonderful. Before we move on, I would like to I didn't have much of your photographs, so I normally, there's a tradition here that I do the photos, photo tour. Yeah, a bit of photo tour. So I'll just go for a small photo tour, and if you can recognize, I've got these pictures from the net, and it's you in Benares, probably, lighting a lamp. You recognize this? What is it? Can you explain? You are teaching something. Teaching?
This is my library.
Achha, this is the lab. Yes. At Varanasi?
At Varanasi, yes. This is Prabha Devi.
Prabha Devi ji, haan.
Prabha Devi, yes, it was great.
You knew Prabha Devi ji, and how did you find her? I mean, she was an elevated or bestowed specialty, some?
She was very high, and also very knowledgeable, great wisdom, and also very compassionate, very compassionate. Yeah. Teaching in Deer Park Institute in Peel.
Okay. Seems to be like Buddha. Buddha.
It is Manjushri. Manjushri.
And here you are receiving Padma Shri probably by President of India?
Yes. 2015.
It was 2015, yeah?
Yes.
It was your contribution towards the art, literature,
Yes, it is deep education and literature. It's the Canada, yes. English education.
Oh, this is some class going on.
What's English education? The last education. This also.
You are in a great joy, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
This tradition gives you joy. It has to give you joy.
Huh. Yes, that's true.
Yes, teaching outside in the garden. Visiting my ashram. Book release.
I don't know. You're some
Director
book,
from Indian Institute of Advanced Studies.
I think. He's Mr. Handu? No.
This a book on Utpala Deva.
Much more. It's wonderful. You're in the midst of the nature.
Garden of my ashram, yes. This I was teaching in Austria, in Tyrol.
Oh,
Yes.
wonderful. That's a very ancient style of sitting and presenting.
Yes. Yes.
Intimate one.
Yes. This is recent in last year. It is Brother David Schneider Rust. He is a Christian mystic. He is a mystic.
Oh,
This was the opening of my library in the University of Salzburg.
you have been all along your life. You're pursuing and working and
This is also in Tyrol, young teacher in the village. This was a farewell party from my Indian Institute of Advanced Study.
oh,
Yes. This is, I had given a lecture on Panika, so I was congratulated by it. Yes.
here this is wonderful. You are sitting at. I think this is Varanasi.
Varanasi in the country, yes.
It is as if you're going into the 5th century, 7th century Varanasi, sitting there, so pure and so subtle and full
Yes.
joy.
Well, it was a different Banaras also.
Yeah, this whole entire new world is built on the ashes of the previous world. That is a
Yes.
dichotomy of. Is your student probably?
He is my student and collaborator. Mr. Pananda Das is a great Sanskrit scholar.
Scholar. Great. Great.
Yes.
Again, this is started.
But, yes,
This will again circulate. Oh, I've done it already.
I'm happy to see. I'm happy to see.
Oh, I'll now do a bit of. This is beautiful picture of Swamiji, monk.
They're young, very young.
He looks like Swami Vivekananda here. Elevated, joyous. And here he is with some disciples.
Yes.
It's in Kashmir, probably somewhere. Yeah, near some torrent. Very joyous mood.
Yes.
Very. And here's a note probably he has written.
Yes.
This is. Are you familiar with this note?
Yes, I know this. Yes.
Sit motionless. Do not grumble. Or bad environments create your own
Yes.
mental world, and environments built up your character properly. Establish virtuous,
Healthy habits.
healthy habits. Understand the glory, splendor,
Power of God.
power of God, who is at the back of your mind, thoughts, will, and memory. Wow, wonderful. Keep your body strong and healthy through regular exercise. Become a spiritual hero. Shut out the doors of the senses. Is it possible? I don't think so. Still the thoughts, emotions, and feelings. Sit motionless and calm in the early morning hours. That's the beautiful time.
Yes.
Have a
Receptive attitude.
receptive way. Go along with God. Every piece
Joy, peace in the silence.
in the silence. Flow like
Golden rules.
golden rules, wow, which have come out from some divine lips. That's so wonderful. So beautiful. Swamiji's handwriting is very good.
But his handwriting in Sanskrit, it is like an old manuscript. It's so beautiful.
Some of his books I located on the Amazon, the Manual of Self-Realization. If you want to speak something for a minute or so, then we'll go, otherwise we'll move on. Manual of Self-Realization.
Yes, I have published the same with my translation of the slokas, his interpretation.
Okay. Kashmir Shavas in the Sacred Stream.
Earlier, a series of lectures which are still very beautiful. So this is
Pantarika? Light of
Yes.
Tantra.
Yeah, but this is not complete.
Essence of Spring Day.
After Sara, this is
I'm-
carbon. I have also edited it.
Okay. Bhagavad Gita, yes, I wanted to ask this. Bhagavad Gita, he has some commentaries on wisdom of Kashmir Shaivism. Swami LAKSHMAN.
No, Bhagavad Gita has been commented by Abhinava Gupta, so it is not his own. Abhinava Gupta has written a separate commentary on Gita.
Okay. So that's why, I mean, from the point of view of Kashmir Shaivism, Bhagavad Gita. So
Yes.
Bhagavad Gita has been so important against the time and
Yes. Yes, yes.
all times. Bhagavad Gita is so simple, so simple.
Yeah.
Even I see these small shopkeepers, they have these Bhagavad Gita quotes there. Who are you?
Yeah.
From where did you come? Why do you worry? What you brought along? What you lose? Something very simple for an ordinary people also.
Yeah.
Very evocative. We did talk about you, and you have been studying art also and literature also. So a bit we talk about that. Your the concept of Leela in Hinduism, thesis creation, that you did for Munich University. Its philosophical and theological significance.
I think, yes, I think that is true.
Okay.
It's a very big topic, I cannot.
Okay.
I've worked on temple architecture, it's a very big topic. Let us stop.
It's a huge mammoth, enormous. Why? Anyway, that's so wonderful. Still, we learned many things today, and it was a very wonderful session. And certainly, everything has to come to an end. Although we don't believe in linearity in the Orient, we don't believe in a straight line kind of a thing. But yes, then again, we have to move in this time zone, so we have to conclude it as well. Thank you very much, ma'am. You came, but before you leave, I would like you to give a. You have been a musician, first of all, I want to ask. So I know Mark Dichosowski. He is a
He
star
was
player, a
playing
wonderful.
cigar. Yes. I used to sing, but I have lost my voice.
Oh, you can still murmur. We can conclude with your wonderful a bit of a mantra or hymns or anything you can
I
just,
have lost my
or
voice now.
English or any
No, no,
language.
I have lost my voice now.
No, but you can just, okay, you recite it. You, I don't see that you recite. You can recite just one line for our audience.
Shiva Data, Shiva Bhukta, Shiva Sarvam Idam Jagat, Tasmat Shabdat Chintasu, Asarasta Naya Shiva. Shiva is
Thank you.
the giver, Shiva is the consumer, Shiva is the whole world.
Oh, that's so wonderful. So great science, profound science. You are the exponent of that, and you're working it to take it to the rest part of the planet, and people make aware and enlightened with. You enlightened us a lot, ma'am. But then again, I want at the conclusion, I want a message from you to our generation ahead, from whatever perspective you like. It is not necessarily you do it from the Kashmir. As a learned personality who has passed through these passages, who was born in Austria and ultimately came chasing to Indology, met a guru, and I mean, she did so much of research. So what is your what do you want like to ask this youth of this planet, entire planet, present day youth? What is your guidance to them? Some lines, some profound lines of wisdom from you.
No, I just wish, you see, this tradition is very complex and very rich, but to extract, my last chapter in my book is to extract the essence of this tradition, which we can apply in our life today. We have, we are facing so many problems and so many possibilities, but possibilities also become problems because too much of internet, too much of information can also distract us. So to extract the essence of what we find in a text like Vijnana Bhairava and apply it in our lives and in our society, in our uh, relationship with others, relationship with other people, with other traditions, with other religions, and to that universality, we should bring it into our life. And this is for a young generation who are searching also for something to hold them, to center them, because we are so distracted. We live in such a distraction, and to bring us into that center, which can uh, be a pole not only for ourselves but for others, for people who are with whom we live, with whom we share this world, and we have to bring everything to that center. So that is my wish for a young generation to use all the capacity, all the knowledge, all the search to come to that center. And there, Kashmir Shaivism can be a guide. Swami Lakshman can be a guide. So that is what I wish.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Such a wonderful, enlightening word. It's very touching, and I really loved it. And I want to ask one curiosity I still have that do we have any living master after passing away of Lakshmanju in the Kashmir tradition, Shaivism tradition? No. Full stop there. Very sad.
Not of his, not of his level. That's
But
why we have this small, you see, you have a 100%, we have to be, I told my students always, they said it's very difficult. I said, if you understand 10%, then I'm really happy. So we have to be satisfied with some portions, but eventually it has to become the whole. And to regain that wholeness which our Guru has lived and passed on to us, but we are not capable of that wholeness, but we have to aim at that wholeness.
No, with that note, I will come to Ram. But before going, just a one word answer or one line answer. At this stage of your life, do you feel enlightened? Any regrets?
Well, we are all enlightened. See, if people ask Ramana Maharshi, and he said, "You are enlightened." So it's only a question of recognition. That is why our whole philosophy is called recognition. You have only to recognize. It is not difficult, but it is essential to recognize who you are.
Yes,
And
Shiva.
yeah. So that recognition is, yes.
Thank you very much, Chinaji. I'm very grateful once again your magnanimity that you could find time despite of your preoccupations, travels, other issues. But finally, it happened. I'm
Yes.
very thankful.
I'm waiting.
Best of
Yes.
best of your health and best wishes
Yes.
for your future and life. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Namaskar.
So that was Bettina Sharda ji, and I hope you loved this entire conversation. We had to take this very difficult, subject in a very simplest possible way. She communicated and drive the entire session and conversation. I'm very thankful to her that she came. Couplet of Sahir still it is still very popular with me. Although I am a seeker of spirituality and consciousness. But yes, he tells something very good, which probably Kashmir Shaivism also says that this world is not Maya, this is part of the God. So that is beautiful lines. संसार से भागे फिरते हो भगवान को तुम क्या पाओगे इस लोक को भी अपना न सके उस लोक में भी पछताओगे ये पाप है क्या ये पुण्य है क्या रीतों पर धर्म की मोहरें हैं हर युग में बदलते धर्मों को कैसे आदर्श बनाओगे ये भोग भी एक तपस्या है ये भोग भी एक तपस्या है तुम त्याग के मारे क्या जानो अपमान रचेता का होगा रचना को अगर ठुकराओगे हम कहते हैं ये जग अपना है हम कहते हैं कि ये जग अपना है तुम कहते हो कि झूठा सपना है हम जन्म बिता कर जाएंगे तुम जन्म गवा कर जाओगे. With that beautiful couplets from Sahir ji, I'd like to conclude today's session. I'm really grateful that you came. You have been part of this rendezvous. Once again, good night. Namaskar, Shabba Khair, Jai Hind.